wait. And baby, I'm TFC till I die.
Hello and welcome back to Toronto Till I Die, the Toronto FC fan show. I'm Mike Newell, and it's been a while. Obviously, TFC have been off for a bit, and it feels like there hasn't been a lot to talk about. But man, a lot has dropped in the last week, not just specifically to TFC, but in the league in general. And then TFC did some TFC things. But we will talk about all of that in the next little bit here with my colleague Jeffrey P. Nesker and Michael Singh, the three boys. We're all back. The vibes are good.
Feels so good, guys.
Absolutely. I'll start with you, Mike. It's been a while since we've been able to chat with you. How you doing?
Yeah, man, everything's good. Just busy as usual. Busy's a good thing, though. Things are fun, but I'm hoping TFC also get busy soon, and we have more and more stuff to talk about. But it's been okay.
Awesome, Mr. Nesker. It's also been a while. I mean, we did the last show
a couple weeks. Can I just comment, Mikey, saying your frame composition is elite tonight. The way that your room is lit and the way that you're occupying the frame, bravo, my friend.
I'm a vet, man. I'm a vet of the industry.
No, it is gorgeous. I am so jealous. Like my goodness.
It's just the right timing, Jeff. You caught me at the right time. The darkness outside
in the day, I agree.
It's perfect for the lamp behind.
Sucks for everybody else getting dark at like 4:30 in the afternoon, but for your mise en scène, it's perfect, bro. Everybody else can get the sads for 3 months, but you look great on Zoom calls, so it's a worthwhile sacrifice. Let's just get into it, guys, because what the hell? Like, it's one rake after another. Like, MLS, the league of choice, should rebrand as the league that steps on rakes. And that's I don't want any more rebrands considering what we're about to get with Inter Toronto FC United or whatever. So
that's official. Like that was on somebody's seat renewal.
Worst kept secret.
CPL stuff. But anyway, yes, if you have not heard out there or living under a soccer rock, Major League Soccer has changed its schedule. So now the league essentially will change its entire orientation of how it plays. So currently, the league is a February to December league. At least our regular season runs till October, and then your postseason happens through October to December. That will now change, and now it's going to look like as we're messing around.
Well, I'm just trying to fix it because we were having some issues on the YouTube machine. It's like
they're just so for people on YouTube, just so you know, there's like a new thing with our streaming platform that changes things. So we're trying to fix that. So stick with us, and we'll get that sorted out.
Yeah. You guys just talk amongst yourselves, and I'll geek out here with.
Yeah, absolutely. But as I said, the schedule is now changing, so now it's going to align or somewhat align with a European calendar. So now we're looking at basically looking at late July into essentially May season, maybe early April season in terms of when it might end. But essentially, it affects a lot of teams in a lot of different ways. But when you're a northern team, it's obviously the big thing is you're going to be looking at the weather in terms of its effect. So wanted to chat with you gentlemen to understand, what do you think about this change? Obviously, the league has given a lot of reasons as to why the change is made. Primarily, most of the arguments I'm hearing about is about the transfer window, which makes sense to a certain extent. But as we disappear, as we go through different channels,
what the hell is going on here? Yeah.
Only seeing Mike. Which Mike? Hopefully, my eyes don't look dead. I have been up since about 5
It's a freak show. What's going on
the but yeah, so just want to get your guys' thoughts on this change. How does it impact you both as somebody who do the show and we talk about this team as much, but also as fans. Like, how is this sort of impacting the way that you look about potentially going to TFC games? Mr. Singh, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I would say the first thing is like people often don't like changes in general, but this change is obviously massive and very disruptive to a climate like Toronto. Now we can also say that they're talking to the league and they're going to try and find solutions to try and appease everybody. But at the end of the day, MLS Cup is May, which is great, but 2 teams get to play into May, June, and even I'm guessing a good portion of July won't have MLS games for the majority of Toronto FC fans, which is kind of really, really disappointing because that's the best time of the year for anyone who, goes to BMO Field. That's like the best time of the year for especially a casual fan too. For the vibe, the ambiance, the environment, those games are extra special. So taking that off the calendar, you'll miss that a lot unless TFC find a way to get back to MLS Cup. So maybe there's a possibility you get some games in May, but yeah, that's a tough break, I think, for Toronto FC fans. The league can manipulate the schedule like we've seen this season where Toronto FC start with a, 3-game road trip so that they don't play at home in February or, early March. But it's still going to take quite a bit of work, I think, to really, really get fans behind this. So, the gate revenue at BMO Field probably is going to take a hit if we're being realistic, especially the way that the team has played in recent years. But from a footballing perspective, I also understand the changes. It's just MLS is a bit of a unique league in the sense that it is a North American league, and it's kind of built on that premise of being a hybrid between the European leagues and like traditional North American sports like NBA and NFL. So I don't know how exactly it's going to shape up, but I understand it, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting because for me, I don't know. Like I'm a little mixed on this in terms of how I feel about it, because on one hand, I think it sucks. Like, obviously, look, nobody wants to be spending a ton of time in the cold, watching games, and look, I've seen a lot of reaction to this, and reasonably so, right? Like, yes, okay, the wonky math on 91% of the games the league saying is going to fall into sort of the way that the current league structure falls. I don't know if that really is true, but it doesn't change the fact that the majority of these games are going to be happening, in colder months. And yes, okay, they're going to take a winter break between sort of December and going into sort of the probably mid to late February to avoid the Super Bowl, and sort of restart the season after sort of as the current season starts now, which is I think the last week of February, or the second last week of February. So from that perspective, I think that that sucks, because basically you could have a game in, let's just say, sort of mid to late November, home game, and then you're not seeing your team again for nearly 3.5 months, right? And that would suck. And I think it just sucks in terms of the just sort of the momentum of the league. I think one of the things that the league is trying to eliminate by doing this is playing through international breaks, having a break, becoming irrelevant during that time. And yet you're going to take a winter break in between the season, right? And I think that is, other leagues are used to it around the world. Obviously, this is done in Germany. It's done in a lot of different leagues, but it's very uncommon for North American sports.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I think that could harm MLS in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I think whenever you think of a change like this, to always follow the money. So MLS has in recent years has set the groundwork to become more of a selling league, especially for some of its young players that are coming through. If you're better able to line up the transfer windows, you have more opportunities of your players being let go at the start of seasons and being sold at the start of seasons. So they're able to probably generate a lot more revenue, which, as we know, league also takes a portion of that. Owners obviously get a great amount of revenue. So, while MLS traditionally was a gate revenue driven league, in addition to, sponsorships and partnerships that they do to draw in revenue, um, I think that tide is shifting a little bit where you can make a really large amount of revenue on transfer fees, especially for, clubs like Dallas or Philadelphia.
Mhm.
But really like all around the league, especially with, more U22 initiatives and the more cap space that you get essentially for selling on players. So there's also that component too financially where it makes sense why owners might be a little bit bought into this, even some of the ones that are, in cold climates.
Sure, and then I get that to a certain extent, and look, the opportunity to really compete with European clubs, with other clubs around the world for signings, for free agents, the windows matching, I get that both from a buying and a selling perspective. But this league is still, like you said, a gate revenue league. It is widely still driven by butts and seats, right? And I think I think in a lot of ways, we're talking about a Toronto context, but like in a lot of other markets, I think you may run into this issue where, people may not be willing to go out in December, or I mean, even in November for games. I I say I'm mixed because look, I've gone to cold weather football games. It kind of sucks. I would still probably go to those games anyway, right? Like, it's not like people haven't dealt with cold weather football before, right? Now, maybe not as frequent as the new schedule will have it be, but I mean, I kind of look at it as, we watch football in October. That's fine. Okay, you're going to maybe watch a couple games in November. Okay, maybe you get you try to avoid a snow game like the CPL final, which was just that was
Insane.
ridiculous. But generally speaking, once you start taking the winter break and you go back into February, you probably start playing home games again in March. We're used to that. We've done that before. People show up. Like it's so
It'll
I,
feel like another off season. It's like it is.
that's the one thing I just sort of like the winter break idea, like I've seen it, I know it works in other
Mhm.
countries. I just don't know how it will work in MLS.
Yeah.
That's the one thing.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Jeff, I know you're
Yeah,
behind the scenes trying to
I
fix
have
this.
no idea. I think it's
yeah,
gonna be
if
Yeah, I think
I-
leave it because I think it was just a setup thing when we set up the link that I don't
yeah,
think
I
you
mean,
can
I'm
fix
gonna
right
struggle with this for hours when we're off today.
now.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
think you can fix it right
I
now.
wasn't. I'd love to say that I was paying attention to everything.
that's okay. Jeff, one thing for
Mm.
listeners or viewers who are actually watching this live, turn your phone screens horizontal if you're watching it on
Okay.
your phone, because then you'll get the full landscape view. If you click in on
Gotcha.
your phone and you're vertical, you'll get this. Yeah,
This weirdo nonsense.
you get
Yeah.
Mike's eyebrows.
The problem is that it's also going to YouTube like this, which is super duper weird.
Yeah, so we're trying to fix that up, but we'll fix
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
next stream.
Fixing on the fly is never
Yeah.
a good idea. It feels, the paragraph in the MLS presser was really succinct and was sort of my thoughts in a microcosm. It was I'm going to paraphrase, but it was the owners and operators decided on this while on a break in Palm Springs, Florida. I mean, of course they did, right? It feels like a decision that's been made by the new guard of MLS fat cats that are all in southern markets. It feels like it's an almost willful obfuscation of what the realities are in the northern markets. And I'm not just talking about the Canadian clubs. Like, there's a lot of American cities, Minnesota, I'm looking at you, that are, hell to play in as well at this time. RFK was notorious for that at rough weather and stuff like that. It just, and then the sort of gaslighting that's going on from the pundits and sort of people on social media. Guys, it's 90% the same. Well, that completely ignores the fact that, like, yeah, maybe playing MLS Cup in December will bring the will bring the boys to your yard, but playing a meaningless a dead frozen rubber match against Columbus Crew for the 18th time in a season, because they're also doing this weird pro well conference nonsense now, or at least that's been rumored, heavily rumored. It's just too much. Um, in this regard, I am talking as a TFC fan. It's just too much. Like, off the back of paying the salaries of those Tweedledee and Tweedledum for multiple years, watching an awful product on the field, this horrible feeling that I have that that everybody is all in on this stupendously ridiculous idea that World Cup 2026 is going to solve it's the magic solve. It's going to solve everything. Everything's going to be great. Everybody's going to be swimming in money. That's completely insane. And it's just it's a lot to take, this schedule change. And I hope somebody said it. I wasn't paying attention, that right now it's just sticker shock. It's a monumental change. There are certain pundits that are saying it will reflect. They're not pundits, owners, and I don't believe a thing that comes out of their mouth. But they're saying that this is going to keep clubs in the red a lot more than in the black, and maybe we'll see. Maybe it'll be successful. But just looking at it from this objective viewpoint, this is hell on earth, absolute hell on earth.
Fair. And I think I'm interested in, for those who are listening or watching, what you think about this, as probably, if you're listening to this, you're probably a TFC season ticket holder, or you're buying a significant amount of games.
I like how you say listening to this, because anybody still watching this has to be a masochist.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you if you still are. Like, what you're thinking on this?
I just dropped it in the chat. I found 2 streams, by the way. One of them is the horizontal stream, live stream. So if you guys are listening right now or watching on the vertical stream, you can click that link or go to our channel. You'll find 2 streams.
Really?
And the second stream is the way that it should be.
Wow, are you a smarty?
Okay. Lessons for next time.
We've got 2 live streams now. AI eating server farms and making
lovely.
Turn.
Yeah, so I'm curious as to what people think about this as fans, because there's a lot of different points of view on this that you could take, and there's a lot of opinion out there on this change and whether or not it is good for MLS, if it is good for TFC. A lot of people have been asking me, hey, can TFC play in the Rogers Center during the winter? I don't know if you'd want that. It technically, yes, it kind of could work, but I don't think you really want that at this point.
Air Canada Center would be more viable because MLSE has favorable rates in that property. They'd be any punter off the street.
MLSE has favorable rates everywhere in Toronto now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if they want to
favorable rates, and then there's I'll do you a favor if you do me a favor.
Remember MLSE, Blue Jay, they're all essentially now one thing. But that said, I think that in a lot of ways, I think a lot of people are going to, if they've renewed, think twice. If they're thinking about renewing at the current moment, may hold off.
Or like George, our friend George, who I've had to deal with for a couple of days, are people that have renewed and are now having sticker shock because, again, 9 matches. Like the balance of home matches being played.
So let's get into this really quickly, because
first let me quickly interject, because there's one thing I forgot. Every fan base, and I don't know if you've also noticed this, but this is when the MLS news came out. Every fan base was like, it's not my problem, right? It was like it was a game of this. Like, I saw people from Cincinnati that were like, we don't have to worry about it. We're just going to win MLS Cup and then everything will be great. And I saw that like go around the league, like, well, it'll affect other teams. We're going to be amazing, so it's not going to affect us. And I just that is so arrogant, and it's only going to blow up in everybody's faces, and that's just more red flags for me.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll talk about this really quickly, because the 2026 Toronto FC schedule has been released. And surprise, surprise, obviously they start on the road for the first 2 matches.
Three
And
matches.
with one in Vancouver, an early Vancouver visit on the 28th of February. And then it's 9 straight home matches
March
going
to
into the
May.
World Cup. Basically,
Don't-
right,
don't
going
make any
into the
weekend
World Cup
plans.
is going to be 9 straight matches, and then you basically don't see them again. It's like
Until August.
a spot thing
Okay.
until August, and then you're, that's it.
That's
So like,
insane.
That's
isn't it
insane.
like, so basically like not quite half, but close to half the home games will be played before the World Cup essentially, and then it's spotty after that.
Hold on. 2, 4, 6, 7. So 9 before, 7 afterwards.
Right.
8. So
Yeah.
9 to 8. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
that
including
makes
Canadian championships and anything like that. But like,
I mean, further to that, I mean, look at this intrigue. Our great moneymaker, the Inter Miami game, is being played May 9th on the Saturday, which is the last game at BMO before the World Cup. There is no chance in hell that Lionel Messi is going to be there. So, I mean,
Why?
because he'll be getting ready to play in the World Cup for Argentina.
But World Cup starts in over a month after that.
yeah. So
Is
he'll
there
probably
there
play.
that much time? Okay, fine.
He'll
so
play.
then
He'll
be
play.
there. Yeah,
because there's still
yeah.
road games after that's done.
As long as
for
I get
TFC.
my kickback from that Messi game, and that helps the medicine go down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, but I mean, look, I'm interested in that. I think, as she's just saying, there's a Montreal away game on a Thursday night. Like, that's wild to me. But
Yeah, there it is.
again, this is sort of this thing where, and Mike, you weren't here for the last show, but I talked about the fact that, like, obviously I'm not renewing my seats. I'm not going to be back as a member next year. And one of the reasons I did it was not necessarily because of winning or losing games, right? It was because I felt like my intelligence was being insulted in a lot of ways by some of the decisions made by both the club and the league. Again, I kind of look at the schedule and I get it. Look, there's logistical things around being a World Cup host stadium that Toronto FC are going to have to deal with, right? Like, they got to have the building ready at a certain amount of time. They have to give it over to FIFA so that it can, do its test events and things like that. So completely understand that, but to front load the schedule like that with that many home games before it's a move. I don't know what the quite word for it yet is, but it's a move.
It's a choice. Mikey's saying this is really fresh. Like, it dropped hours ago. What's the scuttlebutt, if any, that around the league? Like, is every fan base super pissed? Is every fan base poking at their schedules going, what the actual F? Or are there some happier than others?
I don't know. I wish I knew that answer, but honestly, whenever schedule announces drop, I mean, there always is, a lot of reaction, whether that be negative or positive, mostly negative, I'd say. But this one's more bizarre than really.
This is, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is, I don't see this as like a normal schedule drop. I see this as like an attack, almost.
Well, I think
an attack on my.
What I'd also say is just get used to it a little bit too, because this is the type of stuff I think a lot of northern cold clubs are going to start having to deal with come the 2027 full season, let's call it.
No, that's the truncated practice season. It's MLS.
No, that's the full season, because there's a truncated practice season, and there's
the full season comes. Yeah.
So fans should get used to, I think, this type of scheduling, because I think we're going to see a lot of road matches in November, December, if there's any matches there, and early February, and then probably a lot of matches being fit in between July and October, or March, April. So it's gonna be less traditional, let's say. I think
that's charitable. I mean, this is, if we put asterisks on the COVID seasons, how the hell are we not putting one on the next 2 years in MLS? And then my question is, why didn't we buy Lorenzo now so we could have him flail around when it doesn't matter? Because honestly, whoever wins this year, it's an afterthought. Like, this season is insane. Next year, it's like a half season and one season. Like, how are we supposed to care, honestly? Like, especially.
Well, I mean, look, next season is a full season, right? And then it's kind of like they play this little truncated little like you said, MLS is back, and then they go back and they go into the new schedule. But the thing that sort of worries me about this, both the overall overhauling of the schedule, and then you look at next season, and as you said, Michael, like, yes, I agree, like, you should get used to the fact that basically you'll get a bunch of home games in sort of, August through October, maybe like, again, a 9-game home stretch. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm talking about baseball.
Yeah, but now you're talking, like, now you're talking.
Yeah, like, but like, and then you basically don't see this team again for like 4 months.
Yeah.
Essentially, between a break and when you get to see them actually in person again. And I just think about the value of a seat and the value of a membership. And look, a lot of people are gonna, you look at that the way you want to look at it, because it's yours, it's your seat, it's your membership. You treat it the way you want it to be. But I just look at that. I'm thinking, like, okay, so really I'm paying for 2 months of football, right? That is just going to be constant,
somebody
back
else's
to back to back.
Yeah, and somebody else's seat
people
at the
got
World
lives.
Cup.
Like, people got lives, like, what I mean, 9 straight games. It sounds really great. It's nice to have the team around for a really long time, basically 2 months straight.
Yeah.
But are you going to make all those games in
No,
9 straight?
it'll be tough. It'll be nice during it. Like, I think during the times it's obviously a treat when TFC get to play at home. It'll be tough to make all those games, Mike. I agree, and it's way better to separate out. But like, when they're away, it's gonna be quiet.
It's gonna be
you
super
lose
quiet.
that connection. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like, and look, the other sort of bit about this is, as there's so many news dumps in the last week, we've been talking about on the show, the MLS Apple deal is changing again.
Yeah.
Where now you no longer need season pass. You're basically just going to have MLS on Apple TV, right?
We're not sure yet whether that free subscription is Apple TV as you know it now, with a subscription and you're, in my case, as a season seat member, the free MLS add-on, or whether what they're giving you is Apple's new ad-based tier. Right?
It probably is the ad. It probably is.
I mean, I would say a 90% chance.
It's probably that. You will get Apple TV in your membership, but it will probably be.
But it will be a different experience than what it was this year when you had Apple TV and then the MLS adjunct thing, which was itself absolute BS and made no sense. But now, once again, you're getting less for more. Another point of order is this: why do you think there's so many home games? Because look, I'm very sensitive to the logistics of a sporting environment. I watched a 2-hour documentary on how baseball teams do it over 180 something games, and it's mental. The amount, it's like a Taylor Swift tour times 20. Like, the amount of moving parts, it's mental, right? So I harbor no illusions of how difficult it is and how much of an absolute impossible mission this was. But can't you know, like, I'm going to be a big cynic here. I mean, it's staring me in the face. All of these home games are when there's still going to be 17,000 extra seats in BMO. After the World Cup, who the hell knows what's happening to that stadium? But I look at this schedule and I'm like, once again, all I'm seeing is dollar signs. This hope for dollar signs as it ramps up to the World Cup, and everybody and their mother can't get a ticket to go see World Cup games. Hey, well, there's 9 TFC games in a row, so come and see the stadium beforehand because you're not getting in for the World Cup. I hate being this cynical. I hate walking on this dark side of the street. But I mean, look at this garbage.
And it's business. I mean, it's a business.
It's a business, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to look you in the face smiling like a Cheshire cat while it's robbing you blind. You know what I mean? Like, there are better ways to run a business than to just take everything for granted. Take take the love of your fan base for granted. Take their schedules for granted. Like, hey, you got nothing better to do for 9 weeks than come to BMO over and over and over again. Like, yeah. It's just so cynical. Like, I'm giving grace for the difficulty of the logistics, but like, we don't usually get as stooped as we are right here. Like, we're getting stooped weather-wise, schedule-wise. Canada teams don't matter to MLS-wise. Like, we're just getting stooped, and they're asking us to pay more for the privilege, and it's starting to get really annoying.
Yeah, Jeff, I agree completely. Like, we're fixated on TFC, but we know that this is, TFC were a small fish in a very large pond here with other bigger, more more
Important. Say important.
well,
Important.
important, but yeah, important definitely. I was trying to say like more
Mm.
like financial potential, like Miami, LA's, like those teams that invest a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean the
money.
house of cards that is
TFC invests
Miami.
a lot of
Once
money for
Messi
sure.
leaves, that place will be a ghost town. And
Uh,
and all that investment. I mean, listen.
Hey, they're opening up that Freedom Park, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean he's not going to live forever, and he can't play forever. So I hope you have a succession
well,
plan for
I'm
the
sure
best
they
player
do.
that ever played.
I'm sure they do. It won't be a Messi, but I'm sure they're going to get.
It
you
will
know.
be messy, and that was my joke of the day.
But yeah, I agree, guys. Let's put a bow.
Yeah.
Let's put a bow on that one.
Yeah,
It
Mm.
sucks for fans completely. The league could still make a lot of money off of those changes, and I think that's the biggest thing is there's potential for more money if they can find a way to tap into the global.
To that World Cup
Oh,
fever.
well, look,
Catch the
hey,
taste.
the way that
Mhm.
TFC fixes it, have a good off season, get some players, and turn this team around. That's how you
Great
fix
segue.
it,
Great
right?
segue.
Like
Martin
that's
Bailey's tweet was acid tongued. It was perfect.
Yeah.
It was Hernandez has like 3 months to figure it out, because by the time that this 9-game home stretch comes, if we are like willfully inept, they're gonna burn that place down to the studs.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, you're right. By the time that 9-game homestand, let's call it a homestand because, like, well, let's use baseball terminology.
Let's
because
call it a
that's
last
essentially
stand.
what it is.
Let's call it Custer's last stand, because that's
Yeah.
entirely what it is.
Literally, if they're out of it as they were out of it at that time this past season, like realistically, we were saying this by April, we were like, oh, this team is not gonna make it. Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get on to happier, funner, laughier topics here. You know, as we're in the off season and TFC hasn't made any signings yet, they can't make any signings really because the season's still still going.
Is this the first scheduled drop ever in MLS while the season's still going? I mean, that's also that's bad.
It's a good
optics.
question.
It's
I don't know.
It's like we got to get this out while there's like it just everything is a dump. Like you said it yourself, it's a data dump. Like don't pay attention to how crappy this is.
Yeah, well, they did
Friday,
it while
you know
there's
what I
no
mean?
games
Like,
on. Yeah, in an international break. So interesting.
Before we
but-
switch gears, this
yeah.
is a complete non sequitur. What do you guys think about John Herdman coaching Jamaica potentially?
I'll believe it when I see it.
We had an we actually did an interview with John Herdman. So
What recently?
Ooh, there'll be stuff coming. Let's
Ooh. Okay,
see what happens.
table that.
Yeah, we'll table it. Goodbye, Steve McLaren.
You stepped on. Yeah,
you can't be Curacao.
Anyway,
But hey, they get Solomon Islands, or what they get? Is it Solomon Islands in the playoff?
Yeah,
or I can't remember.
I think it is.
They should win that playoff. Anyway, one of the things that we want to do in the postseason or in the off season, postseason for some teams, off season for us, is sort of look back at sort of the last couple of years of TFC and sort of start ranking some players, because we've had it's 5 seasons now on the balance of no postseason, and we kind of talked about the reasons why we think this team is in this position at the moment, decisions made in the past that have brought us here. But we do want to highlight some of the players of that recent past and kind of see what we think about them and think about that time. So we're going to put together, at least the 3 of us are all going to name the 5 best players for Toronto FC post Greg Vanney. So we're talking about 2021 to present day.
Yeah. I pitched the C guys, and the reason why I did it is because I'm hopeful that this off season is the turning of a new leaf. I think
most important off season ever.
Well, yeah, here we go. The most important off season in Toronto FC history.
Version 5.1.
I think but I think the position that they're in this off season with the amount of flexibility that they have is a position they haven't been in since really pre Greg Vanney, or not pre Greg Vanney, but like when Greg Vanney was around, right? They finally have financial flexibility. They have a lot of contracts coming off the book. There's a lot of positions to be filled. I don't think they've had this this much flexibility in quite some time. And I think they're backed by MLSE in a big way. And I think that there's a lot of wheels turning at TFC right now to turn this team back around, and they have the potential to do so. So, they're saying goodbye to a lot of players of the post Greg Vanney era, and they're going to be welcoming in a lot of new players beyond that. So I wanted to do this just to look back and hopefully look forward to just a new fresh slate in 2026.
Absolutely. And for those listening and watching, put your top 5 in the comments. Love to see what you guys have for your best 5 players in the post Vanney era. But okay, how do you want to do this, Mike? Do you want to like start with like go one by one? Do you just want us to rattle off the 5?
Let's do it one by one. Like
start at 5 or start at 1?
No, each person name their like 5th, or each person name all 5 of their players.
Okay. And then you want to rank it?
You start by 5. No. You rank your own players.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can talk about why.
I'm ready to go.
Okay, go, Jeff. Who's number 5?
Number 5, Crescido. Wasn't here for very long, but
Mimo.
really was an important player.
Never forget that goal.
We always got that banger.
That goal. Never forget that he was kind of the Lorenzo and Fede whisperer, and when he took off, it was the end of time for them. He would rank higher, but he was here for 5 minutes. Number 4, Davy Flores. He'd be higher if he still played with us, but he doesn't. Best of luck. Get that bag, Davy. I don't really need to mention. I absolutely love a ball destroying number 6, and Davy's the guy. Number 3, and I think I can put them together. It's Nixon Gomes and Zane Monlouis, because they both played about half a season together, and
crazy.
They're the new guard. Number 2, my boy Alonso Cuejo. And the only reason that Alonso Cuejo isn't number 1 is because Sean Johnson is. And I honestly had to look to make sure that Sean Johnson didn't play under Vanney. But he only came to the club in 2023, guys. It hasn't been that long.
Yeah. So we don't have the same 5.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
We have some players, but we don't have the same 5.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Wow. And just to clarify the rules here, because I see some people commenting here, and a lot of people are commenting players. So we are picking players that were signed after Greg Vanney left. Yeah, so you can't pick like Richie Larea. Because yes, I know he.
Well, you sort of can.
Back,
it's like
he was originally signed under Greg Vanney, right? So I don't think he would count. So we're talking about players that were signed by Toronto FC after Greg Vanney left and had never played for Greg Vanney in a Toronto FC shirt.
This is how seriously I took this assignment. I didn't put a space in for Victor Vasquez's last remaining vertebrae. All right, and it hurt me not to do that. So I just want you guys to know.
I will say my top 5 includes players before that played with Greg Vanney under Greg Vanney. I didn't get that was the memo. Okay, I might have missed that note in the chat. So
I mean, it was supposed to be the post Vanney year. Well, fair enough. I mean, they technically paid for Vanney too.
It was my thing. You guys didn't play by the rules, so technically you guys are the ones that are wrong. All right.
Let's go. Larea. Go.
Do you want me to do mine?
Yeah.
So some honorable mentions is Davy Flores. I agree, Jeff. Matt Hedges, and for me also Kevin Long deserves a shout there.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, I have Georgi Mihalovic. So I went about it a little bit more analytically, and just looking at goals plus assists per game since the 2021 season. Georgi Mihalovic has the best goals and assists per game out of any Toronto FC player. So 0.6 goals and assists per game. That's 4 goals, 2 assists in 10 games. So very small sample size. But the next closest contributor, just for reference, is Fede, who had a 0.44 goals plus assists per game. So he still is a decent clip above that. But more games, more matches, I think he'll jump very high up that list very quickly. So positive start for the Georgi Mihalovic era from a goals assist contribution perspective. Number 4, I had Federico Bernardeschi. Look, he can fall under both categories in terms of he was actually probably Toronto FC's best player for a couple seasons, and at the same time also one of Toronto FC's most disappointing players because of that. But you also got to remember that he led Toronto FC in goal contributions since 2021. And he did so at times playing wing back. And if there's one thing, while he was on the pitch, what you can't question was Federico Bernardeschi's commitment to work rate. And I think he tried to do everything he could to win. At times, yeah, sure, maybe a bit too selfish, but I think he deserved a shout, at least on the list. So number 3, this is where it is. I chose Richie at number 3. I think one thing that held him back was just availability. I don't think he's played as many games as he would have liked during the span, whether it be transfers or injuries or, even at times suspensions. But still, I mean, when Richie's on the pitch, there's a reason why Nottingham Forest signed Richie Laryea. Number 2 is Ozo. Ozo by far has the most games played since 2021, 123 games played. And if you remember the 2022 Ozo season, and even 2021 and 2023 a little bit, like he was producing goals and assists, second most goal contributions from a midfielder, or second most goal contributions, and he's a midfielder. So had Ozo, and number 1, I agree, Jeff, Sean Johnson. Sean Johnson has been the best Toronto FC player, I think, in the post Greg Vanney era, most consistent, and he's a free agent this year. So we'll see what happens.
And probably not coming back. Okay, interesting. Okay, so good list. I chose my list of players who did not play under Greg Vanney at any point. So we're signed out
as you were supposed to do.
Okay, so I will start with my number 5. My number 5 is DeAndre Kerr. Again, from a growth perspective, I look at a player that came in, and look, a lot of people are always going to look at him and are going to look at Jaden Russell Rowe and think like, why didn't we take Russell Rowe over DeAndre Kerr? But I think he has grown a lot. He still has a lot of improvement to make. Like, he is not there at all. To be perfectly honest, he may not fully get there. But I think he's had moments, and I think just in terms of that growth, that's something to write home about.
Third most goals, by the way.
Yeah,
since 2021.
Exactly. Which I mean, it's not saying
that is TFC single game goal scoring leader, record holder DeAndre Kerr.
Even if it's against a semi-pro team,
Saint Laurent,
still a record. Still a record. Not at number 4, I have Alonso Cuejo. I think low. Again another is that another value signing, a guy you kind of pick up kind of out of nowhere, put him on TFC2, shows something, comes into the first team, has really cemented himself into the team. So I will take Cuejo at 4. I have Fede at 3. I did honestly consider putting him higher. Yes, all the stuff off the field, the issues that he brought to the locker room, I think that put him down a little bit lower for me. But you can't also escape the goals. You can't escape the assists. And you really can't escape, the effort, even though some people will call it performative. But I'll leave it to them to know they're
let them try to do that for 90 minutes.
Yeah, right. So I have Fede at 3. I have Davy Flores at 2. Nice. I love a ball winning midfielder. I thought that had things been a little bit different, if the team was able to put a little bit more talent around him, I thought this is the makings of a midfield that could have really been, pretty good. But it was what it was. And you saw the good of him. You also saw the limitations of him too, right? In terms of just what he was. But I think at the same time, TFC hadn't really had a player like that in a really long time. And I thought I think he did the job that he was advertised to do. Right. So I have a number 2 and number 1. I think our number 1s are all, consistent there. Sean Johnson. Somebody saying Sean Johnson had a poor first 2 seasons. I don't agree with that at all.
No,
what are you going to do? He was hung out to dry, especially that first season.
I don't think people remember how crazy he was actually the first season. He played 20 matches in MLS. He let up 24 goals, just over 1 goal per game. To put that in perspective, Quentin Westberg a year before
Mhm.
in half the amount of matches, 10 matches, gave up the same amount of goals.
Yeah.
So John Johnson was out of this world good, actually,
Yeah.
his
Yeah,
first season.
and Quentin
Exactly.
Westberg
And it was
didn't
his
have to
best
play with
season,
Emi
probably.
Mabika, so I mean, there's that.
Honorable mentions for me. I have Kevin Long on my honorable mentions as well.
Nice.
I have somebody put up the first half season God Jesus Jimenez.
Yep.
I actually have
He
him
was an
as
honorable
I had
mention
him
for
too.
me. I was trying to squeeze him in, but
I have him as an honorable
couldn't.
mention. Like
Yeah.
that first half of the season, honestly, was pretty electric, and then he fell off a cliff.
No, yeah.
But that was pretty good.
Yeah.
When Insigne and Bernardeschi came, he fell off a cliff. But first
Yeah,
half,
Absolutely
Jesus
fell.
was
He should.
Yeah, he
He
was.
was our canary in the coal
banging.
mine. We should have listened to Jesus Jimenez. He should have.
him and Paz, man, linking up. That was
Yeah,
special.
yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it was.
Two more honorable mentions. I have Kosi Thompson on the honorable mentions list. Again, sort of the same reasons I have DeAndre Kerr on that
Did
list.
Kosi ever play a minute with Vanny as gaffer? I mean, certainly they overlapped at his academy.
No, he was brought in with Bradley. He's brought in.
Oh,
Bradley
really?
First year. Yeah.
So he not even a sniff when Vanny was in the room. Oh
No.
wow,
that's why like somebody
surprising.
like Jaden Nelson's not on this list because Jaden came up with
was in when
yeah.
yeah.
And the last one, Carlos Salcedo. Again, I think
Ooh, good shout.
you know, I know DP center back. Don't ever get DP center backs. They're just a terrible idea. But I thought, you know, put that guy with a center back pairing that doesn't ask him to try to do everything. And I think you got something there, but you know,
it was so nice having a DP center back. There were things that he did to rescue attacks that you just don't see too often in MLS. Like his baseline standard of play was so high. I mean, once he got into rhythm with us, he was delightful. There is an argument that like MLS suffers for not being able to spend that kind of money on defenders unilaterally as a league because it is so delightful to see somebody with that baseline skill.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I mean, those are our 5 top best players in the post Vanny era. Happy to hear your thoughts. Whether you agree, don't agree, completely fine. I guess here's a question for you. So, like, we don't have, you know, and again, we can debate this a lot. Like, Alejandro Pozuelo's not on this list, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it on any of our lists? Whether you wanted to use the Vanny rule.
Well, I did. That's why I took him off the list.
Okay. So you would have had Paz on the list.
I mean, I'm not like, what is it? Best TFC players of all time? I don't know if he makes
no.
5.
Like my thought process is just the best players between 2021 and 2025. So like you would have to factor in how 2021 Paz was and half of 2022, which I'll remind you was not very good.
Not very good at all. 2021 was good.
No, 2020 was MVP. 2021 was the season after where him and Yefe became best friends.
Right.
Both parties in Miami, baby.
Yeah.
And then 2022 is he had half a year with Jesus Jimenez, and I think
right.
That year 16 games played, 4 goals, 4 assists. Which
let's
bad.
Be honest. Like Crescido, who was here for a cup of coffee, is going to get bumped off that list for Paz, who was the MVP in 2020. Like, let's be honest, he's probably cruising way up there. You know, the problem with Paz is hard feelings, right? Like, I mean, we knew he was an assassin when he came here, but him leaving, I didn't like it at all. But you know, yeah, absolutely, he would be on that list if we move the goalpost. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's funny. All of our number ones was Sean Johnson, but here he goes heading into the off season by Toronto FC not picking up his contract. Now, I think we all understand his contract option would have been really expensive. I think he was the 3rd highest paid goalie in the league. His contract option probably would have seen an increase. How important do you guys think it is for Toronto FC to try to bring back Sean Johnson, and how big of a loss do you think he would actually be to this team at this point heading into 2026?
It depends. So I think it's a big loss, not just from a goalkeeping perspective, but just a voice in the locker room perspective. But it also depends on who you might be targeting to replace him, right?
Let's say it's the rumor that's true, Max Crepeau, right?
Loss, but it is the burn is salved a bit, You know what I mean? Like from Max Crepo perspective. So from that, if you end up getting a Max Crepo, then I don't think it's as big a loss. I still think it's a loss, but I don't think it is as big a loss as if you say he's gone and you're giving the gloves to Gavron and saying like Gavron's the number one now, which I don't think he's ready for yet. But
Yeah, I think we all agree.
yeah, but like it depends. Really, it really depends on where they go in terms of if you're not bringing him back. Well, who are you bringing in to be the number one?
I mean, his skill set is so unique, right? Like he with respect to how he plays his position. It's not to say that he's irreplaceable, but honestly, you're taking away the one thing that was starting to hum with this team before we were summarily dropped out of MLS adventure. So I think it's existential. I mean, there's only so many things you can be. There's only so, like, you can't fly the plane while you're building it, right? And we started to build the back of the plane where the jet engines and all the fuel is kept. And if we let Sean go, and I think it's just one of those things, he probably won't be back. You can't be blasé about it. It's a huge loss. You know, Crepeau doesn't. He's not at the same standard, and in terms of form, he's in terrible form. I mean, we're going to get him for a song from Portland, so it's another redemption case as opposed to Sean John, who's quietly become Mr. Dependable back there. I think. You know, I understand why it's going to happen, but I do think it's a huge loss.
That's fair. A lot of people in the comments are saying Carlos Cornell, who just was released by or not having his option picked up by New York Red Bull, could be a replacement as well. Which again, I don't think I would necessarily have any issues with either. You know, whoever they're going for. Because I do believe they're going to go get a goalkeeper to be the number one, or at least really compete for the number one spot. You know, has to be somebody who can really command a back line, who can not just be a really good shot stopper, but I think in the way that they may want to go about playing is going to have to be really good with their feet. And again, to answer your question, Michael, I think it's still a loss no matter what for this club in terms of the leadership aspect of things. But from a goal shot stopping perspective, from being able to play at the back perspective and work with center backs, it'll depend on who they bring in.
Yeah. I have PTSD from the Bono Westberg latter years there, and how hard it was to find a, such a reliable goalkeeper.
It's hard.
It's not easy.
It's really difficult. It's really difficult. You can find guys who can do the job, and then guys who can excel, right? And then that's the thing with goalkeeping.
Because like even if you think back, even prior to that, like you had Alex Bono, who had a very special 2017 season, but from that point on, he really struggled to find himself, and it wasn't until Quentin Westberg came in and he had a good season, 2 seasons, and then he completely lost himself. And before Alex Bono, you had a season of Clint Irwin. And then before that, it was
anybody and everyone. It was anybody you could find off the scrap heap.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember the Milos Kosic? Remember when we had Stefan Fry?
Remember Julio Cesar came here as a good life fitness. He treated TFC as like a fitness club to get in shape for the World Cup, and we were all like salivating. I mean, it was pretty cool, but regardless,
I will never forget picking Milos Kosic over Stefan Fry. I will never. And Milos Kosic is a nice guy, great guy.
But let me be the devil's advocate, because you keep saying leadership, etc., etc. I mean, that's not his best selling factor. Like, he's a great leader and they leak goals. Like, he's not putting that on his resume. Like, he's been really good at the back for us, almost in spite of the mess at the back. So I would say the one part where he isn't, all conquering is that. And if we can get a goalkeeper who's maybe 90% of what Sean John is in terms of the actual game, but 100% more in terms of yelling and screaming and organizing the back line, maybe that's a worthwhile switch.
I think he's pretty vocal back there now.
I agree. I think he is vocal.
I mean, is it working?
I mean, look, you can only work with the talent you got, right? Like, you're,
I'm just saying, like that there's holes in the armor, and that would be one that I would look at and say,
fair.
Yeah, he had some tough stretches too. Like, don't forget that, but there's a reason why he's our number one unanimously too.
Yeah.
Um,
Last sort of question for me, just in
so,
terms of this, is okay. Let's just say it is Maxime Crepeau, just for argument's sake.
mhm.
Obviously, we know him well from the national team. We've seen him at various stops in Montreal, in LA, in Portland, where he lost his job in Portland.
Hmm.
I think to James Pantemis, did he not?
Yeah.
Which is interesting because he gets getting on the national team, and James Pantemis cannot get a sniff onto the national team.
Cannot
But
get a sniff.
that's a
Yeah.
whole other thing. Um, if he is the guy, how would you feel about that? Because I think there's a lot of people who really like Maxime Crepeau, and there's a lot of people who still have doubts about him. One, including Jesse Marsh. But how would you feel about him as the Toronto FC? Because he would come in and he would be the number one. Like he's
Mhm.
coming in to be the number one. So how would we feel about that? And how do we think he would fit in terms of how Robin Fraser would want to play?
I would personally be okay with it. Um, I'm in the definitely the party of a fan of Max Crepeau. I
Mhm.
think he is a good goalkeeper. Maybe I'm still nostalgic, holding on to some of those, World Cup qualifying runs.
Yeah. Great.
And obviously he had a great run with LAFC too, going down from Vancouver. Um, and I still think like for his ability to grind back into the Canada camp and to really make a case to become, Canada's number one for the World Cup, I think shows, uh, you know, some fight and some bite that he's not done, and B that he's still a talented keeper. Um, so
Yeah.
I would be okay with it, but again, like it's a position we just didn't have to think of for the last
Yeah.
3 years, and now it's back as another position in addition
Of
to the
need.
other 5 positions on the pitch that you gotta fill for Toronto FC. So it's yeah, it's you're gonna take for granted, I think, a little bit about just or we take for granted just how reliable Sean Johnson is,
We really
just a
did.
little
We
bit,
really did.
and might
Yeah.
might come back to bite us.
Yeah. For me, it's cost. I mean, if we get him at a fire sale,
You're
distressed
not getting
asset
him for a
price,
foul,
that,
sir.
but I mean, considering his status at Portland, I think if we don't play hardball to get him at a discount, then my opinion of the move is going to be affected by it because he is a distressed asset. Let's call a spade a spade. So why would we pay top dollar for Portland's second choice with a bullet, goalkeeper? So yeah, if we get him in at a really favorable deal, we're getting a lot of value for the money. We just have to forget who he's replacing and look at it as its own, as its own thing. But if he comes in at top dollar, like if we're paying anywhere in the realm of what we're paying Sean Johnson for Maxime Crepeau, we've made a mistake.
No, you're probably not, but you're not also getting him at a friendly, like team friendly rate either, right? Like I think you're going to have to pay
Well, then you leave him
a
in the
decent
shop
amount
window.
for him, right? Like if that's the way they want to go, because I think yes, he lost his job in Portland. There's a lot of people who, I just read a little bit from the Portland press saying like, he lost his job. Was that actually the right move? Was Pantemis actually the right move? Did Phil Neville make the right move there?
Oh no, I mean,
Um,
answer no. He never makes the right move. So there you
well,
go.
and I think you're also paying for the fact that he's a national team player coming back to a Canadian market, right?
Not my problem. It's not like
Well,
what his.
it becomes our problem, right? Like if that's what you want, you're not be like I see somebody saying 300K. There's no way he's
I
making
agree.
300K. Not
Well,
even
I mean,
close.
I don't
300K is
know.
300K
You
is
think
low
he
ball,
you
but
think he would come in at that? You think he would
I
actually
don't.
come in at that?
I think there's definitely potential. Like the goalkeeper market in MLS is terrible. Like historically, it's so bad. Sean Johnson making that jump. Sean Johnson was getting paid that before he got re-signed to his new deal when he signed with
Mhm.
Toronto FC. He was at the time like one of the top free agents out there, and
Yep.
he signed that deal. Now, obviously, things have changed, things have inflated, but Max Crepeau is not Sean Johnson when he hit free agency. So I think there is potential he comes in around that number, and it's probably why TFC are kicking tires too, because
Absolutely. Like
I
you
don't think they're
can't.
married to Max Crepeau, but he could be a serviceable option at the right price. I think there is a possibility.
I mean, the chat saying he's making 650K US at Portland, which is way too high. I mean, that we're getting rinsed by Portland for their cast-offs. Like, do we have any business acumen? Like, that's stupid. Like, it would have to be a lot less.
Well, I mean, look, I think that at a certain point, I think as a free agent, I think his agents coming in saying like, listen, you've got a national team player coming back, to your team. You need a number one. Here's kind of what the price is going to be.
But it's
He
also
needs us
hey,
more than we need him. That's 100%.
You could be the face of a push for Toronto FC and get so much visibility playing for the biggest club in Canada as their number one heading into the World Cup. Like the pitch can go both ways.
Yeah, I don't know if. It's sure. I mean, he was in a Canadian market before and left.
How many players? I was going to ask that. How many players have done the trifecta?
I've played for all three Canadian clubs.
Is
there anybody who played all three clubs?
Toss? No, Toss didn't do Montreal.
No. I'm trying to think.
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
Why am I only thinking of Dominic Oduro? Like, that's just
no.
Him scoring goals on it. Every time somebody mentions
the border.
Dominic Oduro.
Oh my god, I hate that guy. Oh
no, Kyle Becker never did it. He only did Toronto, Montreal.
Raheem Edwards never made it past the border in LA.
Caden Chung. Caden Chung never.
No,
Raheem Edwards is a good shout. Raheem Edwards played for everybody. He's played for both LA teams and both New York teams now. So yeah.
That's wild. Raheem Edwards, what a time.
I don't know if anyone's ever done the trifecta. Maybe.
No, everyone. The chat is saying no.
Yeah.
But,
no.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we'll leave it there for this week. For this week's Toronto Till I Die. Thanks everybody for tuning in, for your comments, for bearing with us while we try to figure out what the hell was going on with the screen here. If you're watching,
good shout, Mikey Singh. Thank you for being tech support. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, and figuring that out for us. Hopefully, we'll get that sorted for the next show. You know where to find us, where to listen. Search Toronto Till I Die on the Google box, and you can find both the show in video form and on podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. Sorry, Jeff, you want to jump in?
No, I there's no way to segue to it. I just wanted to mention Sean's GoFundMe. Just if you still feel like
yeah, absolutely.
Worst cold read ever.
Yeah, no, all good. For those who haven't or who didn't listen to our last show, obviously we have a GoFundMe for Sean Levy, our friend of the show, part of TFC Unplugged and the now deceased Tunnel Club. If you can help, please do so. You can basically type in, I think you can Google actually search the GoFundMe and join there. And it's also on our social channels on Twitter. So you can find the link there.
Over 1,500 raised for that, by the way. So
I know.
So
I know.
Really, really,
the community you've really stepped up. So we really appreciate it. And there's the link there in the comments.
Oh, we both posted it. That's fantastic.
There you go. So it's there on both versions of the show, both on your mobile version and the.
Well, they won't be able to read anything but like the HTTP on the first thing.
Yeah, exactly. All right. For Mike Newell, me, Jeffrey P. Nesker, and Michael Singh.
That's me.
Thanks for listening. And we will see you next time. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everyone.
And wait, and baby, I'm TFC till I die.